Hola amigos, bienvenidos, welcome back. This is part 2 of ESTAR. We're probably going to make several ESTAR videos simply because we're not just learning ESTAR here, we're learning all kinds of things. Vocabulary, new prepositions, sentence structure, all these things. So we're using ESTAR to learn those things. Making sentences with ESTAR is quite simple. As we discussed in the previous video, we will use ESTAR to talk about where we are and how we are doing. So, location and temporary conditions or feelings. Okay. As for objects, we use ESTAR to talk about, same thing, where they are, where the objects are, and what position or condition they are in. For example, I'll tell you that a door is open. If I tell you that a door is open, or that it's dirty, or that it's wet, I'm not really telling you much about this specific door. Any door can be open or closed, any door can be wet or dirty, but not every door is big. Not every door is thick or wooden or expensive. In order to describe these more permanent characteristics of the door, I will not use estar, I will use the other to be verb, which is ser. It describes more permanent characteristics. And the same goes for people. If I want to express that I am tired or nervous or busy or sick, I use estar because I am telling you how I'm doing at the moment. But this doesn't tell you very much about who I am. Everybody at times gets tired or nervous or busy or sick. They are temporary conditions or feelings, and we express them with estar. However, not everybody is generous. Not everybody is smart or kind or tall or funny. Once again, these are more permanent characteristics which are not likely to change, and we will express those with ser. There are several Spanish courses that attempt to teach both verbs ser and estar at the same time because they both mean to be. And that seems like a logical approach. It's just my opinion that that's not the best approach. There's many ways to teach this stuff, but in my opinion, that's a little confusing. I think it's best to at least get a basic grasp of one before studying the other, and that is why we are studying estar first. And then we will study ser at a later point. Okay, let's make a sentence. I want to say that I'm at the store. This is going to be a word-for-word translation from English. Yo estoy en la tienda. Repita. Yo estoy en la tienda. Yo is the subject. This is a statement, so it goes first. Estoy is the verb, and it follows the subject. En la tienda literally means at the store. En is a very valuable preposition, very valuable word, because it basically means in, on, or at. So it's a very useful word. En la tienda implies that I am at the store. Not on the store, I'm at the store. En la tienda. But if I say that something is en la mesa, the understanding is that the object is on the table. And if I say that some object is en el gabinete, the listener will understand that the object is in the cabinet. There are some specific phrases in Spanish to express inside of and out and on top of. But for now, we are only using en, and that is all we need. La tienda is a common feminine word, which means to store, any kind of store. That could be a shoe store or a grocery store. Why am I using estoy? Because that's the form of the verb that corresponds with yo. And why am I using yo? Because I'm speaking about myself. And now let's say that Carlos is at the movie theater. Repita, Carlos está en el cine. Carlos está en el cine. Again, this is a statement, not a question. So the subject, Carlos, goes first, then the verb, está. En el cine finishes the sentence, at the movie theater. The store, la tienda, was a feminine word, so it was la tienda. But the movie theater is masculine, so it's el cine rather than la cine. So there's two ways to say the. Actually, there's more than two, but for the time being, la is the for feminine words, el is the for masculine words. I do not know who determined the gender for these objects, these words. It was determined a long time ago. And remember, that's not if you get that kind of thing wrong, if you were to say la cine or el tienda, well, that's not correct, but don't let that kind of a mistake or the fear of making that kind of mistake cause you to be reluctant in your speaking. First of all, you will be understood, and secondly, you make those mistakes, get them out of the way, eventually you'll stop making them. Gotta make the mistakes first, though. Okay, you and I are at my mom's house. Repita, tú y yo estamos en la casa de mi madre. Tú y yo estamos en la casa de mi madre. Tú y yo is the way to say you and I. Notice that I'm using the nosotros form of estar, which is estamos, but I'm not saying nosotros. See? I'm not saying nosotros. I'm literally saying you and I. Instead, I'm talking about us. So I'm either going to say nosotros, which is we, or tú y yo, which is you and I. I'm going to say one or the other. I'm not going to say both. I will not say tú y yo y nosotros. That's a lot of subjects. I'm saying the same thing. You and I and we. Repita, en la casa de mi madre. En la casa de mi madre, in the house of my mom. That's literally what we're saying. In English, we say my mom's house. My mom, apostrophe S, house. But there are no apostrophes in Spanish. So we do not express possession with apostrophes. So to express this, we'll simply say the house of my mom. My dad's house, repita, la casa de mi padre. La casa de mi padre. My brother's car, repita, el coche de mi hermano. El coche de mi hermano. Angela's party, repita, la fiesta de Ángela. La fiesta de Ángela. Every time you should never say mi madre's casa, right? It's incorrect. All right. What if I say estamos, we are, but it doesn't involve you? Perhaps it's somebody else and I, like Miguel y yo. I'll still use estamos because I'm still saying we, but it's he and I rather than you and I. He and I are at the game. Repita, Miguel y yo estamos en el partido. Miguel y yo estamos en el partido. The water is on the floor. Repita, el agua está en el piso. El agua está en el piso. The cat is on the bed. Repita, el gato está en la cama. El gato está en la cama. He's on the bed. En la cama. The cats are on the bed. Los gatos. Repita. Los gatos están en la cama. Los gatos is plural. So therefore, the verb to be is plural. It's están. Then the sentence above is el gato está. Aquí, los gatos están. Notice that in all of these sentences, and they're all statements, whomever or whatever it is that we're talking about is mentioned first, immediately followed by the verb. Okay, Miguel y yo, el agua, el gato, los gatos, it's mentioned first, immediately followed by the correct form of estar. I'm taking the time to emphasize this now because it's not only the case with estar, but with all verbs, no matter who the person is or what he or she is doing. If you're making a statement about it, the person is mentioned first, and then the act, and then the verb. If it's a negative statement, then you'll simply say no between the subject and the verb. The phone is not in the bag. Repita, el teléfono no está en la bolsa. El teléfono no está en la bolsa. Bolsa implies a bag or a purse. Okay, look at that word, teléfono. Cuatro sílabas. Y la segunda sílaba, le, tiene la énfasis. So it's teléfono. A lot of people want to emphasize this third syllable, fo. But no, it's not there. It's teléfono. Muy bien. Robert and Sylvia aren't at their house. Roberto y Silvia no están en su casa. Repita. Roberto y Silvia no están en su casa. Okay. Notice that the no is right here between the subject, el teléfono, y está, and aquí, no is between Roberto y Silvia, y están. The money's not in the bank. El dinero no está en el banco. Repita. Muy bien. El dinero no está en el banco. Again, like I said, we're probably going to make several videos for estar simply because we're not just learning estar here. We're using estar. While learning it, we're using it to learn several other things. Not to mention vocabulary, prepositions, sentence structure, and all those other things. All right, very good. Thank you.